All right, all right, all right. Here we go. Back again with a bombastic style. Bombastic style. We are back again on the other side of the coin. And we've also got MonstarCFC. Hopefully everyone, post our match against Fulham, as Dami was saying just off air, that we've sort of cooled down, we've calmed down, and we can really, analyze and talk about some truth bombs. And this is exactly what I want to do in this particular episode. But before we get into all of that, first of all, my man, listen. How you doing, Dami?
Oh, listen. It's your boy, the Grand. I'm back again with some more sauce in it. Man's on the other side of the coin. You understand? Man had to chill, relax, take a chill pill. Yesterday, I saw all of that performances and boss. I mean, Monster, we spoke yesterday, and you know how I feel, cause man went to bed relaxed with it. But I'm still sort of at the same conclusions. But hey, I'm looking forward to speaking about yesterday's game. Not like I'm looking forward to speaking about the game, but I'm looking forward to speaking about it with you guys. So yeah. We're out here.
Brilliant. Monster, my man. How you doing?
So I don't know. I'm sorry if I had a slight delay, but I'm doing good, man. I did watch the game again. I did watch some highlights. I was impressed by obviously Callum Hudson-Odoi, Werner. Werner, I could see in his face the confidence thing. Yeah, but I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I'm happy.
Brilliant. That's fantastic. Yeah, look. At the end of the day, the bottom line. I just saw Dami tweet out that. I think it's perfectly said. Look, the performance probably wasn't the greatest, but 3 points was the most important thing that we needed off that match, and hopefully we can build on top of that. But boys, what I really want to talk about in this particular discussion with you guys is, as I said, some truth bombs that I want to really unload over here. I want to talk about certain players that I feel probably shouldn't start at the moment. They really should be benched and probably should be winning their place off the bench, allowing the other players that are actually in form to actually start. So first up, let's start talking about, I know Monster sort of just talked about Werner and he thought his performance was all right. I guess to an extent it was okay in terms of positioning, but let's talk about Timo Werner. I'll go to Dami first up. Dami, my man. For me, Timo Werner, I don't know, man. For the past couple of months now, I'd say this isn't even like 2-3 games. This has been going for at least a couple of months where he's missing sitters. He seems very nervous in front of the goals. Yeah, he's chipped in with an assist here and there. Everything else in terms of work rate, in terms of his attitude, intensity is great. But I tweeted this off the back of yesterday's match that I don't know if I can keep backing this guy to start again. I feel like I've done that enough, and it's come to a point where I think Tammy Abraham and Giroud probably deserves to get a look first up before this guy, because I don't know. I know a lot of people are saying that he probably needs to start against Leicester because the way Leicester sort of play their game, the defense is not going to be holding back as much as Fulham did. He'll find some space behind, but I can't honestly put my hand on my heart and actually say that Timo Werner has actually put those goals away. Your thoughts about this man in recent times, man?
Werner in recent times has not been impressive. Do you know what I mean? He's not been impressive. And like, if we're keeping it very real and very straightforward, I think he should be benched. Now, will he be benched is a conversation for another day, because obviously meritocracy is in the bin as far as I'm concerned. We'll obviously speak about Callum Hudson-Odoi moving forward later on. But I don't think that's the thing. Another reason why I think he's consistently playing is pressure from the board. I can't see any other. I think Lampard himself is seeing Werner miss on this consistent basis, and it's like, cause if not for the board, you're meant to be on my bench. Do you understand? But obviously the board are pushing for either one of the Germans to be playing at any given time. That's what it looks like to me. But once again, I'm sure, like you said, watch the game back. Sometimes he gets himself in really good spaces, and the thing that a lot of people don't seem to realize is that he gets himself into spaces that he loves getting into. Do you understand? He puts himself in positions where he knows he can capitalize effectively. Now, the issue with that is we don't do those vertical passes or those over-the-top passes to actually find our striker. We're always trying to go from the wider areas and cross the ball in and get into do. Now, like I keep saying, first touch finishing has never been Werner's bread and butter. Do you understand? Once again, it's not an excuse, because any striker in world football, if anybody can't finish one time, the one person on every squad that should be able to do that is the front man, the striker, the big man up top. Werner's strong points has never been built around that. However, things like his first touch. I know that's always been bad as well, but it's one of those things where I keep on looking at it and I'm like, yo, is Lampard really going to change stuff up? But now, moving forward, for example, Leicester, I understand people wanting him to play and all of that. And unfortunately, I think Jamie Vardy is injured, but I think that's to advantage. I think he's injured. So if not, it would have been good for him to see what Vardy does, isn't it? But at the end of the day, for me personally, I think he should be benched going forward to the next game. But I also think that we can't just strictly put all of this on his head. Because like Monster said, he makes some really good runs. He does make some good runs. He doesn't do mess about runs at all. So I don't think we need to. Manager and player need to also both need to pattern up. And that's been the common trend, really. That's what I've been saying from yesterday's performance all around to the different players. Manager, player, everybody needs to improve at the moment.
No, 100%. Monster, I want to bring you into this discussion now. Let's look at yesterday's game. I know we can dwell on heaps of the other games previously, but yesterday's game, there was two particular moments. First one, where Callum Hudson-Odoi goes through in the wings, right wings, and he whips in a nice ball, finds Timo Werner open. Obviously, there was a defender, but I think his touch, had he had a better first touch, he could have beaten the defender and gone one-on-one with the goalkeeper. But his first touch lets him down, and then obviously he stuffs that situation up. But I think the most important one was where Pulisic dinks a ball over the top, just behind the defense, when Fulham was looking for that equalizer. And for me, that was the classic Leipzig moment, because I have seen him score that time and time again. That was the scenario where he was born in that scenario. You know what I mean? Like, he's lived in that scenario. And for him to go straight through, and he was positioned so well as well, he pivots as well, and then he completely scuffs the shot. I mean, what's your thoughts? Because for me, that was bread and butter for Timo Werner.
Yeah, he did. The thing is, I think obviously we know he's lacking confidence, because he's making the right runs. He's, fair enough, the control at times is not good. Sometimes he's doing well to beat some players as well. His issue is obviously that finishing touch. And I can see it in his face. You can see him at the end of the game as well. That confidence is missing. Confidence is very important in every player's game, because confidence can make you do things sometimes that you don't even know you could do. And I've said this a million times, because a lot of people know, I've played at academy level at Crystal Palace and QPR, so I know confidence does a lot for your game. Asking me whether he should probably be dropped, I think he should be dropped. And continually just bringing him off the bench, because deservedly so. I think Tammy, Giroud deserve to be in front of him. Like, it will be very unfair on those guys to not start ahead of him. But also as well, we do need to get that confidence with him in him as well. So he does still need to get minutes. How we're going to go about doing that, I don't know. But we need to get it. We need to get the confidence out of him. Like, seriously.
100%. I mean, like, this guy, I mean, let's not kid around. We all know how much we've done propagandas for this guy from the start of this season, or even before, when he was announced that he was coming to Chelsea. We all knew that, this guy's going to light it up. So we definitely need his confidence back. Just to wrap things up on this particular player, Dami, how fitting was it? I suppose it was sad to see as well, Frank Lampard right after the match. There's pictures going around in social media how he's got the hand around Timo Werner, and Timo Werner's got his hands on his knees. This player's really hurting. Like, he knows he's not putting these chances away that he should be putting them away. I mean, in those situations, as Monster said, that perhaps come off the bench and really just focus on finishing them off? Or do you feel, now, you know what, maybe that may not work for him. Maybe give him the start and get him to build up. How do you sort of see it at the moment?
Wait, so you're talking about with how we should manage Werner moving forward, basically?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a tough one, because like Monster said, confidence is, I just, whenever I think of confidence, for example, I don't think of Diego Costa. You know what I mean? Even when he was not on his best form and he was trying to get stuff done, he would still try. When you take a shot, okay, and it doesn't go well, you're just going to be like, it's all good, we go again type thing. He doesn't have that in him at the moment. Werner is missing that. And the thing is, obviously, I think apart from the fact that that's down to him missing so many chances. I don't think our tactics really help him either. I don't want to get too much into the tactics at the end of the day. But for me personally, overall, I just think he does need to sit on the bench for a while. We definitely need to sit on the bench because I don't think things are going to change anytime soon. We're in crunch time once again. We're going up against Leicester next. Then after that, I can't remember who exactly. I think is it
Wolves.
Burnley? I can't remember. Wolves. So we've got quite a few. Some people are writing Wolves off already. I'm like, you might need to relax. So we've got quite a few games coming up that are quite big for us in the season and are quite important. So I just think Leicester, I think he should relax. He should sit on the bench because I don't think it would be too beneficial for him to start. And we just keep him moving, man. There's not really much more we can do because right now, I'll keep it very brutally honest. Like brutally honest, it might sound very harsh, and I know it is. This is not something we should care about right now because the team is in a very, very bad state. Do you understand? The team needs to win points. This is not a period to just be like, we need to, obviously, they need to pamper and take care of the players from time to time, but they're professionals as well. I was expecting them to not get off to the immediate start because obviously, like, they came from a different league where they are not used to resting at this period and they're having to start off now. But this happening, we can't really afford to just keep on putting him onto the pitch to hope his confidence come back when we need points. We need points right now. That is the key thing. And that's why I tweeted, I said, you know what? Is that match yesterday, I was angry. You know what I mean? I was angry. I was calling out people on different streams. I was all sorts of angry yesterday. But like, as I thought about it this morning, I woken up. Piss off with the whole game. We keep it moving swiftly and immediately. And then we just go on to the next one. We just need to keep on winning. And if Werner is going to keep on starting and he's not going to score, which is going to lead us to not win, then I think he needs to sit out.
No, man. As you said,
Dami,
3 points is far more important.
Can I just say, does Tammy and Giroud get in these same positions that Werner gets into to score? They don't really like the way he creates these chances or gets into position to get these chances. Those guys don't do it. That's number one thing. And also, I always remind people, Didier Drogba's first season at Chelsea was very similar. But in fact, Werner's on track to equal Drogba's record. And we all knew how Chelsea fans thought about Drogba during that time. They wanted him out. Even he thought he was. I knew someone that actually spoke to him. They met him in Harrods, and then they asked him, do you expect to be here next season? He said, I don't think I will. And look at the legend he went on to become. So maybe 100%. Werner just needs a little time.
The other thing that I want to say, Monster, is how much did that change of formation? Like later on in that match against Fulham, we actually started playing 4-4-2. Two up front with Timo Werner and Tammy Abraham. Timo Werner wasn't really a left wing. He was more of a left forward. And I thought that's another added thing that helped him get into really good positions yesterday as well. I mean, do you feel... as Dami's mentioned, I suppose Frank Lampard has to learn from some of these issues that Werner's going through. Do you feel the formation could be one of the things that might have hurt Timo Werner as well?
Definitely, but we are trying to play Werner as a big man in a sense. Chelsea still haven't moved on from that big man, that big target man type of football. I've said before. Sergio Aguero, when he came to Man City completely changed the way they play in order to suit him. Chelsea are still yet to do that, and it is really affecting Werner. We need to, I've always said it, Chelsea need to play, it's a 4-2-3-1, but turns into a 4-2-4, where Werner and Havertz kind of play like a two-striker role. When Werner's coming deep or whatever, Havertz moves into that space. When Havertz is coming deep, Werner moves into that space. So we need to play something that would benefit them.
Do you know what it is? The reason why I agree with the 4-2-3-1 specifically is because naturally speaking, the passing lanes you get from like having the two DMs and then the way stuff is arranged are a lot better and might help suiting and make easier vertical passes. But right now, as much as he gets into those brilliant positions, nobody's going to find those positions because that's not what they're instructed to do. Everybody's instructed to pass the ball out wide. We don't occupy that individual space. That the block right in front of the opposition 18-yard box. We don't occupy that space in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, exactly. Nobody takes that up. So as much as he makes those brilliant runs, until Lampard says, you know what? Sometimes you need to look up. Maybe if you don't see him in that space, then just leave it and pass it out wide. Because right now, the only time I can't. When was the last vertical? Do you remember the last vertical pass from Chelsea Football Club? I can't remember a straight pass into that middle ground or like a ball over the top. Jorginho isn't instructed to do that anymore. He's instructed to send it out wide. If he fails on one wing, you just rotate everything around, pass it next to the next wing, and that's what we keep on doing. So he can continue to make those runs all he likes, and we can change up the formation 4-2-3-1. Like I said, interesting. We did that at the start of last season, and he gave us expansive, nice-looking, energetic football. But until Lampard changes his fundamentals of, you know what, we're not just going to cross in the ball every opportunity we get. We're going to try and play down the middle sometimes. Werner, finding runs from Werner aren't going to make that much of a difference. Do you know what I mean? So once again, all down to Lampard's instruction.
100%, I have to agree as well. Like Lampard definitely takes some blame in Timo Werner's poor form, but I guess some of the finishing is where my concerns are with Timo Werner, where, you know, that's probably not down to Lampard. That's just him having lack of confidence at the moment. But that's enough about Timo Werner. Hopefully he turns things around. We need him to turn things around for our chase for top 4. Moving swiftly on to the next player. This player, honestly, boys, he's actually been pissing me off for the last few games. Mateo Kovacic, guys. It really started to annoy me probably from the Arsenal game. He was hooked off at halftime. And then against Man City, I honestly thought that game, and I don't know whether I may be right or wrong here, whether people might actually appreciate this for me saying this. I actually thought he downed tools against Man City. He was literally not in that game. And I know Man City absolutely played us off the field. Their midfield completely ate us. They took over us. But Mateo Kovacic, for me, everything that I used to believe of this player, you know, tenacity, aggressiveness, you know, being press resistant, being able to take the ball from deep and then drive through the middle and sort of alleviate that pressure away from the team. It all sort of disappeared. And especially yesterday's match, honestly, I did not see enough. And now when I see him dribble through the middle and beat few players, I'm not impressed anymore because it's got nothing. It actually has no end product to it. Once again, I'll go to Monster this time.
I would say, I would say with Mateo Kovacic here, I got flack for this. This was back in one of my first videos I made. I said, I think it was back in July. I said Mateo Kovacic Chelsea need to probably either just keep him on the bench or we need to swap him for a guy called Hossein Owa at Lyon. Yeah. I said, my reasoning was, I told people, Real Madrid got rid of Mateo Kovacic for a reason, and brought in a guy called Federico Valverde, who's one of, excelling right now at Real Madrid. Yeah. I said, Federico Valverde is Mateo Kovacic with end products. Kovacic is good for retaining the ball and all that, blah, blah. But in terms of like that final pass, that end product does not have it at all. And that's a big issue for us. We need, in my opinion, we need a deep line playmaker. We need someone that's going to break the lines. Kovacic ain't good. For me, Kovacic is better off coming off the bench, probably after you're winning and just, keeping the ball in that sense. He's better for that. But if you think he's going to really affect the game and do things, he's not the guy for that. Unfortunately, he's not. Kudos to him for being Chelsea's Premier League, Chelsea's Player of the Year last season. But he's not going to affect the game in that way as people expect him to. He's just not that guy.
No, 100%. Dami, I mean, I feel like there's no justification anymore why Kai Havertz shouldn't start in front of him. Like, is that how you feel as well?
I definitely want Havertz to play, but the thing with Kovacic is, as much as I agree with Monster and Music, the thing is, the reason why, if we all look back to it, okay, once again, he doesn't have end products, which is something he needs to have as a midfielder playing in the position that he's supposed to be playing. But have you guys noticed? So if you go back to Real Madrid, he was quite the saucy player that everyone liked, but there's a reason why he got removed. Like you said, he doesn't have that end product. He came to Chelsea under Sarri, he didn't look particularly good. Then the next season under Lampard, he looked quite good, and this season is not looking good again. Have you noticed the trend in the sense that this man
up and down?
Yeah, so it's not even just the up and down as well; it's the system thing. Do you see what I mean? Last year, there wasn't any specific. You know what? Okay, we're going to do XYZ. You're going to go into XYZ box. Now before Kovacic, and at the end of the day, I'm not saying it's important. And to be fair, if you had a player like Eden Hazard, that's why I think they sort of worked well at times when he was around, because Kovacic can pick up the ball and he doesn't progress the ball by using the ball. He progresses the ball by using his body. Do you understand? By moving the ball very efficiently in between the lines. But the problem is that final pass. Now with Mateo Kovacic, I just feel like when you put it into a system where he has to do XYZ thing, he can't really do that. Last year, okay, under Lampard, when there wasn't really too much, was just basically get the ball and advance, take it up the pitch as fast as possible and pass to the next person and get to the X, Y, and blah, blah, blah. That's what we're doing last year. That's why he looked so good. He looked so good last season because he was allowed to penetrate all the midfield and like go. He didn't have to move out wide and try and do some funky play with the fullback and the right winger and all of that. But yeah, so that's why I think he's regressed from a footballing standpoint, because he's very much like almost I wouldn't say a Jorginho, but he's the opposite of Jorginho. He's not a system player. He can't really operate well in the system player. Now, all of that was basically telling you that I think that's the reason why he's not playing as well as he was last season. Now, even if he was playing as well as he was last season, he's not scoring goals. He's not getting us assists. I can't remember how many goals or assists he scored last year, but they definitely weren't enough for him to start.
Nothing significant. Nothing significant.
But I don't expect necessarily goals or assists from him. What I want him to do is what they call a chance creator or assist to the assister, the second assist.
Yeah, like a playmaker, like a deep line playmaker.
Yeah. I expect him to get the ball to the person who's going to make the assist, but he doesn't even do that, and that's a problem.
No, 100% have to agree that.
Kai Havertz will be back, innit?
Yeah, like we've seen teams that have that player from deep, as Monster was saying, that has the ability to pass it to the player like a Ziyech up front. And that's why I think sometimes we see Ziyech dropping deep so much, because he needs to get that ball from deep so that he can start doing those playmaking situations, because either Jorginho or Kovacic just simply doesn't do that enough. Like, for example, Cesc Fabregas, boys, how much of a playmaker was he from deep? He could literally ping a ball from deep and find players up front on a regular basis. I'm not talking about Jorginho where he gets that 1 or 2 times where he finds Tammy Abraham with that one-touch pass. I'm talking about Cesc Fabregas probably doing this 2 or 3 times a game and finding those players, and even on clutch moments. So, I mean, go on, Monster.
No, I was saying
Monster,
with Fabregas, even when we lose, I just have that faith in him. He can make a pass at any point in time. He just had that tunnel vision. We really do miss that. I feel like if we had a Fabregas right now, Werner will have a lot more goals. But unfortunately, we don't. We don't have that.
But that's another thing. Like I'm just saying with the Fabregas, that's why because I do get this. I get this, but my thing as well is it's not even just the players. Because if Fabregas was in this team, do you think Lampard is giving instructions? You know what I mean? And they're all clearly following
go wide.
Right now, everybody wants to go wide. There were sometimes, I'm not saying that footballers are not supposed to just be like, oh, the manager's word goes every time. If you see a good pass, you make that good pass. So someone like Mason Mount, who can't really make that final pass properly, he's not doing that right now. He should be doing that sometimes, but obviously I know he's younger and all of that, and that's never really been his game per se. But at the end of the day, for me, we're lacking that in the squad. Cesc Fabregas as an individual, if we had him in this squad, I think we'd even be playing different football, because Fabregas is a unique player. If you know, how many players can you actually think of that could play the power passes that Fabregas used to play for Chelsea and Arsenal? So very few. I can think maybe Messi, maybe Messi. Do you know I'm coming from? I can't think of anyone that can actually look at the goal he used. I remember that Man City game we won 3-1, the shithouse one with Kante. Look at that pass Fabregas made to Diego Costa out of the blue. You know what I mean? Or that pass he made to Costa against Arsenal. Not a lot of people can do that. So for us to do you get what I mean? Like that sort of player doesn't really.
Even Dami, do you remember that Schürrle pass against Fulham?
Yeah, look at that. That's sensational. And the thing is, now this next comment I'm going to make is going to be slightly controversial, but if you actually go back to Bundesliga last season and the season before, Havertz doesn't make those kind of passes that Fabregas does. Fabregas is like a quarterback in the NFL. That's what he does. But Havertz, that in between the line pass, that splits defenses, that pass he does that stuff.
He's all about that.
So that's why I think Havertz and Werner would work really well, because especially on the counter, that's what they've been always used to. So for me personally, at the end of the day, it all still boils down to Lampard and the way he asks these players to play, the instructions that he's giving them. He's asking Havertz to occupy that right-hand side instead of trying to let him roam in between. And I can't really blame that as well because he's not allowing Ziyech to roam either. Ziyech, people just think he's a straight-up cross merchant. If you watch him at Ajax, he used to occupy that right-hand side and drift into the middle as well. So it's all based on managerial instruction, which is one of my biggest gripes. But once again, the players need to step up. So to answer the Kovacic thing, 100%, I think he needs to go bench as well. Do you understand? Because right now he's not. He doesn't fit. He literally does not fit. And it's confusing to me because Lampard signed him. Maybe he was under the pressure of having to get a player ahead of like the band. You know, maybe that's why he ended up signing him. But right now, players like Kovacic, players like Kai Havertz, players like Ziyech, players like Werner aren't being used to the best of their abilities. Maybe not Kova because Kova has never been that end product kind of guy. And once again, I think he needs another, maybe Havertz Kova or something. I don't know. But right now, I'm not really feeling him. So he should be going bench. You know what I mean? Should be going bench.
100%, man. That's a very good point that you said about Kai Havertz. Operating. Like these guys have a lot more than just, and even Ziyech, as you said, have a lot more than just crossing in their game. Ziyech for Ajax, man, as you said, would drift into middle areas, would sometimes be on the left side, and he was more lethal when he was roaming around. And one-touch smashes for goal. Yeah, Dami, go.
Sorry, I just saw it coming from deep state misinformation, disinformation. That's misinformation, my brother, because Kova came into the club on loan. We didn't have to take him. Lampard signed him. Do you understand? So Lampard could have said no and he wouldn't have come around. So that is Frank Lampard. Okay. But yeah, sorry, Mike.
100%. No, deep statement. That's definitely a Frank Lampard signing. Sarri had already gone way before then. He was actually on loan, Kovacic. Boys, let's move on to the next one. Christian Pulisic. For me, guys, look, he's a fantastic player. We know that. Post-lockdown, what he did for us was very instrumental to get us to top four. He literally, along with Oliver Giroud and probably even Mason Mount and Willian to an extent, carried us to that top four last season. But this season, obviously, some injuries. Every time he seems to come back, he cops another injury. But in the last few games, he's been playing for us. But honestly, boys, I've got to be honest here. I'm not really understanding some of his dribbling lately. Because for me, he looks down when he dribbles, he goes through 3-4 players, and then it becomes a goal kick, or it becomes a throw-in, or he loses the ball. I feel like, when I'm watching him live, I sometimes feel like saying, just lift your head up, because there are runners beside you going left, right, and center, and you can thread that ball through, and you can get yourself a lot more assists than what you actually have right now. And you don't always have to score goals for us. I mean, it'll be great if you do, but you can also feed goals. Look for the Werners, look for Mason Mount, look for Ziyech. You don't have to take it all the way by yourself and do a tapping goal. So, Dami, from your perspective, I mean, yesterday's match, I wasn't impressed at all, man. And I feel like Callum Hudson-Odoi is a clear-cut starter ahead of him now. Your thoughts?
I mean, that's the thing. So, once again, deep state, brother. Pulisic was a board signing. It was very clear. You understand? Pulisic was a board signing. That was an American board signing. They wanted to do it for all the PR and as well as the fact that
this guy's having a go at Sarri, isn't he?
And Kova was a Sarri said, let's have him on loan. And Lampard came in and was like, let's take him on board permanently. So that is on Frank Lampard. You know what I mean? If he felt like he was a useless player, then he should have. Lampard agreed, like Red Pill always chatting facts in the chat. Red Pill is speaking about that. But to go back to Pulisic, at the end of the day, he definitely does need to look up. I've always said that Pulisic is a very, very much like an Eden Hazard kind of player as well. Do you know what I mean? Very on the ball, trying to get stuff done, trying to draw players inside. They can create space for other people. But right now, once again, these players aren't given that license to really roam. They've all been isolated in specific zones and asked to do things that they are not. Pulisic isn't just going to get to the byline and cross it in. That's not what Pulisic does. You know what I mean? I could argue that if Eden Hazard was here, he's not going to, like Lampard, do you think maybe he would have given him the license to do it because it was Eden Hazard? But do you think he would have been able, Eden Hazard is not going to just go on there and start crossing the ball into the box. That's not what he's built for. That's not what he does.
Eden Hazard did that, bro.
Imagine, that's what I'm saying. So the thing is, that's why I keep saying, so Pulisic definitely needs to step up. So you see this consistent thing for me. I keep on saying this thing over and over again. the players need to do some things a lot better. Pulisic needs to look up a bit more. I just think maybe confidence is a bit low overall in the squad, so that's why it's not as effective as he can. He's not really been given that license to roam the way he can, and I kind of understand it, because if you left everybody to roam, Pulisic, Havertz, Ziyech, and maybe Mason Mount, all four of them will be occupying that one box. You understand? They'll occupy that central area, which we can't afford to happen. But once again, it limits the sort of players we can have. So that's why, for me right now, the difference in player between Pulisic and Callum Hudson-Odoi, Callum works a lot better now. And not just on that, on merit, Callum is actually getting stuff done, because Pulisic is the kind of player that draws player in, okay? And like Red Pill says, he's quite selfish with the ball. That's how he has always been. Do you understand? He likes to draw players into him. 4, 5, no, maybe not 4, 5, 2, 3 players, get them in. But Callum ain't going to do that. Callum is going to have you one-on-one, and that's what he loves to do. So when he has that one, maybe fullback or that opponent winger in isolation, and he's beat them properly, then he can put in the ball like he can do. Because I honestly feel Callum maybe only Ziyech, but he has an excellent cross. You know what I'm saying? He has an excellent cross in his right foot. So at the end of the day, I just feel like that's why Pulisic of late has been just a bit iffy. I mean, do you guys agree, Monster?
Yeah, Monster.
Right now, Pulisic is kind of playing. It seems like he's playing for himself. He's not really. I don't know what he's not. Actually saying he's not combining well with players. He's always trying to go past 3 or 4 players. Maybe also at the same time he's not. I don't think he's match sharp yet as well. And I feel like you said, he needs to start working with his teammates, start trusting your teammates, start working with Chilwell a little better as well. That's what they need to start doing. I do think he will come good at some point, but maybe it's just a match sharpness point. Maybe it is the match sharpness thing. I don't know. I feel like at times he's trying a bit too hard, and maybe he should be trusting his teammates a little more.
Yeah, man. I feel like you've nailed it, man. There is a sense of, I suppose, selfishness. It feels like he wants to do everything on his own. I don't know who's given him this impression, and maybe it's the social media, maybe it's us that's sort of given him this impression that he's the one who's got to carry us from what he did for us, post lockdown. But as you said, Monster, he just needs to work a little bit better with the team and just trust them, give them the pass. Allow for the link-up play, 1-2 passes, get yourself into good areas, and shoot. You don't necessarily always have to take on your man. Look, 100% take on your man and dribble when you can, create chaos. But there are certain times you just need to find that pass. And on top of that, there was a really, really good cross from Ziyech yesterday, that inverted cross where, honestly, I felt like Pulisic needed to finish that. I feel like Ajax days for Ziyech, that cross is a goal every day of the week. And Pulisic, that's a bread and butter goal for him. If Ziyech is playing, he needs to put it away. Yeah, Dami, you were going to say something.
I was going to say about that. So I want to ask two of you this question, because I've been thinking about it recently, because I see a lot of people saying that we're not taking enough shots. You know what I'm saying? We're not taking enough shots outside the box, and we're not taking enough of those. When we have Mason Mount, Havertz, and Ziyech, they can all take shots from different places. Like, right now, do you think our players are in a position to be able to get that done? Because the way we set up, like I keep going back to that setup, because that's all that runs through my head. Everybody's up. So take my screen as the pitch, you know what I mean? And then the center box is right there, okay? So you've got the 3 players, you've got the RCM, you've got the fullback, and you've got the winger occupying and hogging those vertical areas. And then the opposing side are all trying to fill up areas in the box, and then the 8s are trying to get into the box as well. So there's usually never anybody on the edge based on instruction, because the whole idea is if we cross in and things get messed up, the people on the far post pick up the ball and try and recycle. Do you know what I mean? That's what we try to do. So do you think we're even set up to be able to take different shots and stuff like that right now? Because I don't. Do you get what I mean? You guys 100%. Are like.
There's only 2 players, Dami, in recent times that I've seen that get into those areas and shoot. One is Mason Mount. I've seen him in quite a few matches that he's taken long-range shots. It just didn't come off for him. The other one is Ziyech. Since he's come back, even against Fulham, there was a couple of times where he'd drift in sort of central areas and he'll take a shot. A few times he just hit the defenders. But honestly, besides that, Kovacic, Jorginho, or even Kante, they're just not capable, man. They're not capable. And Mason Mount, he's mentioned, I don't know if you guys heard this yesterday post-match, he's actually come out and said that last few games, the 4-5, say about 4-5 games, he hasn't been able to bomb forward enough to have those chances to shoot like the way he's been doing for Fulham. But then again, we got to understand Fulham was a man down, so maybe, I don't know, that's why he probably found the space to do that. Monster, your thoughts, man? This is a very good question. How come we're not creating more opportunities down the middle to go for shots?
Number one, we don't really have no shooters. I feel like Mason Mount might be one of the only shooters. Obviously, Emerson was trying one time against Morecambe trying to shoot. We don't have shooters. Most of our players are more finesse type of players. So even if they do shoot, it's got to be with finesse rather than power or whatever in it. I feel like they're all trying to at times either get the ball to the byline to cross or walk the ball in the back of the net, which we're not even good at doing that. We don't, obviously teams know it's just jam pack that middle area because we're gonna go to the side anyway and cross. So they're not gonna allow us any space down the middle anywhere. We don't have the players that can break teams down in the middle to create space for a shot. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't surprise me why we're not taking any shots. I mean, who's gonna really shoot? If you ask me, who is, except for Mason Mount, who's been doing it a couple of years.
It's just Mason Mount
gonna shoot.
Yeah, does take shots.
Yeah, but I think he doesn't get into those areas often enough with this Frank Lampard system. He's more, as soon as he goes from the right to just cut in, he looks for the cross. He doesn't get into areas where, regularly enough to take those shots. So, yeah, once again, as Dami said, it's instructions. It's basically, I saw a stat yesterday, and off the back of Eunice's video, I'm not sure if you guys saw that. We had, I think, the second most crosses in one game. I think the first one was against Arsenal, 34. Yesterday we had 33 crosses, guys. 33 crosses. And, obviously none of them really came through. We ended up scoring off open play where really it was Areola's. It was a cross from Chilwell, and then Areola sort of smashed it straight into Mount's path, and then Mount just smashed it in. But yeah, boys, moving forward, 100%, do you guys agree that, just in sort of quick summary, do you guys 100% agree that Callum Hudson-Odoi has to probably start over Pulisic for the time being? And this shouldn't even be a matter of rotation anymore. He should just start every game and let Pulisic just come off the bench and try and win it off him, correct? Go with Dami first.
Yes. But
Monster, go on.
No, go on, Dami.
Fam.
Oh, no, go, bro.
I'm tired of this Callum thing. Honest to God, I'm tired. Because I don't know what else to say. Do you know what I mean? I literally do not know what else to say. Like, meritocracy is a fugazi. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't exist. It's a fugazi. It doesn't exist. Do you know what I mean? It's not on the elemental charts. It's not fucking real. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't exist in any way, shape, or form. I don't understand what more is required for him to play. But my thing is, like I said on Monstar stream yesterday, I don't understand. People always bring up mentality. Why are people bringing up mentality now? Do you know what I mean? If he wasn't ready before, why is it that he's not a mentality thing now? It doesn't make any sense. When was Sarri and he said he wasn't ready? It was, the manager is being a bit biased and blah, blah, blah. But now if Lampard is like, hey, his mentality is off the charts. Why is that always the narrative? I don't want to bring up that racism narrative that people, because everybody's always saying black players and Asian players have bad mentalities whenever stuff doesn't go like that. Wait, do you understand? I don't understand that.
There's 100% hypocrisy. There's 100% hypocrisy. And I mean, look, whether people accept it or not, there is hypocrisy.
It's hypocritical. So for me, going up against, thing is, I can't even take Lampard's word seriously anymore. Do you know what I mean? Because he's very well media trained. You understand? He grew up in a very good area in the UK. You understand? Very posh man, can speak English fantastically well. And he knows how to sell anybody dreams in a press conference. You understand? Tomorrow, for example, he did his beautiful PR work, and here we all are crying and wondering why he's going to AC Milan. Do you know what I mean? He said the same thing about our team tactics. You changed up the team tactics. They worked on it for the last 2 weeks. I mean, let me just say it's because it's the second team that came on that we didn't see what happened. But once again, I didn't see nothing different yesterday. Do you understand? So with Callum, again, he said Callum is playing well, blah, 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 rest, blah, blah. Let's see if he actually starts him, because he has to start him. If not, I'm going to go to Stamford Bridge with pitchforks. I don't know what else. There's not much. What else can I actually
If he doesn't start against Leicester, I'm lost for words, because it is now the narrative has been, boys, is that he didn't start against Fulham because he's going to start against Leicester, which still doesn't make sense to me, because you've had all that break. I'm sure you can play 2 games in a row. Like, I mean, every team, honestly, I'll tell you right now, Leicester's not going to rotate much. Leicester played a strong team against Southampton. They're going to play a strong team against us. So where's all the rotation talk for them? There's no rotation talk for them. They're going to keep playing who they want and who are their good players. So I don't understand it. But let's move on to Jorginho. I'll go to Monster this time. Man, for me, Monster, honestly, I don't know, man. I feel so a bit sad in the sense that Billy Gilmore, he's been playing so well off the bench every time he's been coming on, and he's always looking for that progressive pass. He doesn't look too much on the sideways. He's trying to thread it through the middle and create chaos, because that rattles the defense. For me, yesterday's game was set up for someone like Billy Gilmore to start, because we knew Fulham are not going to be predominantly getting at us. They're gonna stay back. Yes, they 100% press well. When it was 11v11, they pressed well, but that's because I feel like our midfield balance between Jorginho and Kovacic is not correct. Someone like Billy Gilmore maybe would have provided a little bit more steel. I feel like he's a little bit more athletic, not a little bit, actually, a lot more athletic than Jorginho. And I even think his passing range now is probably in the same par or even better than Jorginho. Your thoughts, man?
I don't think Lampard trusts in the youth as much as we think he does. I don't think he trusted Callum Hudson-Odoi, hence why we didn't see him as much. I don't necessarily think he trusts Billy Gilmore. Because I like with Billy Gilmore, with me, I've always said I don't want to really see Billy Gilmore as the sole midfielder. I would rather see him next to Kante or next to someone else. Only because I remember last season, although we had a great game against Liverpool and Everton, there was also the game against Leicester, where he got overran in midfield. So he is a bit shaky in that sense, and I would rather see him next to someone. This coming game, like with Jorginho, I never thought Jorginho was good enough for the Premier League, if I'm being honest. And I know it sounds a bit harsh, but the first time I said Jorginho was not good enough was against Tottenham, where they beat us 3-1, and Heung-min Son just literally walked past him like he wasn't even there. He's not athletic enough. He's not quick enough. He's passing. His so-called control of the game he doesn't control anything. If we're really being honest, his control is it's overstated. Do you get what I mean? I don't think he's suited for the Premier League in that sense. He might be better off going back to Italy. But as for Billy Gilmore, like I said, I just don't think Frank Lampard trusts him. I don't.
No, man, I have to somewhat agree. I think a lot of people got gassed up by last season, Dami, where Frank was forced to use some of these youngsters. I said few people this season that moving forward, if Frank is still with us, I'm telling you, we're not going to see that many more graduates from the academy. We're not, honestly, he's not. He was forced to do that last season, and he got a good bunch. Mason Mount, Reece James, Tammy Abraham. Honestly, I don't even know if Tammy Abraham is going to be the long-term sort of player for us. 100% Reece James, Mason Mount definitely are going to be. But moving forward, you know how a lot of people get gassed up about, Tina and Giroud. Good players, Livramento, Lawrence. I'm telling you, I'm not sure if they're going to be able to make it. But your thoughts on the whole Billy Gilmore situation, man?
I love Billy the Goat. You know what I mean? I love him so much. That's my boy. Even before everybody got on the wave last year, before Lampard even signed, I've been watching Billy. You know what I mean? I know what sort of plays. He's a really good player, but like Monster said, he can get overrun. A lot of people don't. People want him to do something that I don't think he can do, and that's anchor in midfield by himself. You know what I mean? People want Billy Gilmore and Golo Kante. Okay, so you combine midfield height of 5'5". Are you joking? That's not going to run. You understand? They're going to get absolutely ragdolled by a big number 10 or big strikers like that can't run. Maybe it could.
Exactly.
kind of work. It could probably work. But at the end of the day, like Billy Gilmour isn't that sort of player. He hasn't ever been that sort of player. He's going to try those progressive passes, definitely. He does them quite a bit more. Jorginho is more of like triangles. That's what's in his head. That's what he done for 4 or 5 years under Sarri. Do you understand? Yeah. This is his second year under a different manager that hasn't been Sarri in the last how many years. So that's what he's wired to do. So side, vertical, triangle. He tries. I mean, he does do the one-time passes over the top. He's capable of doing that. And Billy can do that as well. Billy's passing range is good. But one thing I need to keep saying, Billy Gilmour, much like Callum Hudson-Odoi, Tino Anjorin, them, man, there's a reason why Mason Mount, Tomori, Reece James, and Tammy, those lot were all playing last season is because they all went out on loan before, okay? They all went out on loan and they've all been playing for time. Mason Mount, this is he came out from his second loan spell. You understand? Same thing with Reece James. Reece James went and bust in the championship. We don't know how often these guys can play. Look at how Billy Gilmour just got injured because people are expecting him to do such a good job. Yesterday, he wasn't. I don't think he was going to do a good job. Maybe he would have done a better job than Jorginho. But did you see how big Fulham's midfield were? He would have.
Issa was just controlling everything.
Exactly. Didn't you see when they bought? There's a point when Jorginho just fell on the floor, and people were dragging it. I'm like, "Oh, you're expecting anybody would have fallen?" Look, I'm 6'5". I would have probably fallen. You see how big that guy is. At the end of the day, like you can't just expect. People are trying to throw in someone who doesn't really have that not prowess. He doesn't have that match integrity. He doesn't have that consistent. Like we can't really say for certain we're going to put in Billy Gilmour week in week out, and we can't rely on him every single period of the thing.
I'm just going to say, if you look at Gilmour type players, you look at Scholes, Xavi, who else? Who else can I say? Even Kimmich. Look at those small players. Look at who they have next to them. For Kimmich, he has Goretzka. Scholes had Michael Carrick. Xavi had Sergio Busquets. Strong, taller players next to them. For Gilmour to succeed and go, far, he needs that type of player next to him. Maybe it could be a Declan Rice. Do you get what I mean?
I think this is what we got with Declan Rice.
Yeah, for people that because I had arguments about this last season with people. They were saying, maybe we should replace Kante with Gilmour. I said, on what are you basing it off that Gilmour can do what Kante is doing? You're basing it off 2 games, Everton and Liverpool. You haven't even seen him for a full season yet. And you all of a sudden want to throw an 18-year-old into the Chelsea side for a whole season. You want the team to rely on him. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't. He needs someone next to me, in my opinion, who can help him do what he needs to do to take the game. I don't see him doing it by himself. He will get overrun easily. If I was playing against him, it would be easy to bully him. Do you get what I mean? If I'm just
it would be very easy.
He's a great player, but he needs someone next to him.
You know what, boys? Honestly, this has been our issue in recent times, man. That midfield, as great as sometimes we think, we've got a lot of talent there, but we lack size, man. And I know Kante is very tenacious. He's got a lot of strength. He's an engine. But overall, I mean, I'll just quickly go to Dami on this as well. We lack a lot of size in midfield, man. Like we are very lightweight over there.
Like Matisse said, and excuse my French, we lack bastards in midfield. Do you know what I'm saying? We don't have that player who's going to actually do stuff down. Now, I'm not saying we need to consistently have this, but we don't have too many of those actual commanding people in midfield. I keep telling people this whole Kante thing, is one of those conversations that I'm tired of having. You know what I'm saying? When has Kante ever fully succeeded in a team as the individual DM? That's not what he does, do you know what I mean? That's not what he does. When he won the Premier League, he played with he played with Drinkwater,
and then Matic.
When he done it at Sion as well, that team in front. You what, sorry?
For Chelsea, it was Matic, and then
exactly. It was Matic. You understand? Maybe Fabregas at times, but it was mainly. In fact, not Fabregas. He didn't even play with Fabregas that often. It was Matic and Fabregas. So Matic, he played with. So even in the World Cup, he played with Pogba at his side. You understand? So this man always needs to have someone beside him. He's not that sort of individual that can get stuff done. So for me, as much as people gassed up the whole midfield situation, I was like, our only real DM in this squad is Jorginho, and that's shocking because Jorginho is not even a DM. So we don't have a DM. You know what I mean? He's not even a DM. So that's why for me, oh man, honestly, as much as you guys think Kimmich, I would love Joshua Kimmich at this team in some way. I think he can do something as well. Maybe not even Kimmich, but that's why I wanted Thomas Partey. Do you understand? Not because he looks like me. People say I look like a skinny Thomas Partey. I don't know where that comes from, but like maybe it's my haircut or whatever. But
I think it's the haircut.
I think, you know, people call me a B-Tech party, you know. I don't even know why these man go on that thing. I'm like,
none of these B-Tech stuff.
None of this B-Tech stuff. But you see what I mean? He's a good player. People are winding him up and chatting crap about it. You what? Monster, what did you say? Monster, you said something, man.
No, I just said it was funny. It's funny they call you Partey.
Oh, fam, I think it's the trim, you know. You know, if man piped, you know,
it's the trim.
It has to be the trim. I can't see it, fam. You know what I mean? I can't see it. But anyway, I think with him, he can sort of do that DM thing because he's not just like, and things I don't want to stereotype black players because he's quite intelligent. The way he goes about being a DM is so much more different because he's not just going to come in and try and tackle the ball off you. And I mean, that's what he can do. He can't do it, but he likes to chauffeur players away and give that everybody else to have time to come back and actually like that's how he was used at Atletico Madrid, and that's why the guy was very, very good. But for me, I just feel like we need that DM. This Declan Rice thing, once again, I'm going to do it like Ben Chilwell. Once again, I wasn't a fan of Ben Chilwell when he signed. I mean, he did start off really well, but obviously, we're starting to see what this man can be made of. Defensively, he's not as good as a lot of people make him out to be. Offensively, I don't think we're really utilizing him as much as he can be. But once again, those players, I say, you man, go do what you do. Miz, remember that stream we did it's almost a year now about Declan Rice. I mean, obviously, I think some of the things I said were quite harsh at the end of the day back then. But right now, for me, that low blocks tax, it still exists. You know, that tax, that thing that they have at West Ham, people don't account for that. Maybe you could come in and become a good player. Fantastic. My squad is winning, so I can only keep on smiling. But I'm not even like that. I'm not a big fan of it, especially for the amount of money that's been touted. But one thing that's for sure from this conversation is that we definitely need a DM in the squad because we 100%. Do not have one. We 100% do not have one. And we don't just need a DM, we need a hefty, sensible individual in that middle of the park, like in the Matic almost. Because Matic, apart from the fact that thing is, Matic,
Matic was great in passing as well, bro.
Thank you. And not only that, in fact, Matic should be it would be ideal. He could take a shot occasionally. You know what I'm saying? He could he could hit a shot. He could take a pass as well, and he could win off the ball as well. So that's the DM we need.
Aerially as well, Dami.
Aerially, he was something. So we need that.
In Antonio Conte's season, he got double-digit assists.
Wow.
Did he? Jeez, I didn't even know.
He did.
Yeah, wow, I didn't know.
I had no idea.
Honestly, he's the most underrated player. I feel like he's been a very underrated player for us. Not many people talk about it on a regular basis. People talk about heaps of other people. But Matic has actually been very instrumental for us since Mourinho's second time he's coming. Just quickly, boys, I've got Everton Fan TV coming up doing a stream with me tomorrow for the Leicester. Leicester Fan TV coming tomorrow to do a stream where I'm going to do a preview with them. And the first thing, you know what they asked me when I reached out to them? He goes, "What do you think about Chilwell?" And I said, "Let's keep this for the stream because, Dam, you're spot on, man. I'm starting to look as great as Chilwell has been for us in the beginning. I don't know over the last few games he's been that great for us, and I'm starting to see these were the questions that a lot of us had when we were rumored with him. Honestly speaking, I don't think he's been excellent going forward. Defensively, he's been okay, but he's been caught out as well. But overall, he's starting to show that, you know, he's quite average. He's not anything phenomenal. Do you know what I mean? He's not anything like outstanding for us to say, oh, he's one of the number one left backs in the world. Leicester are actually quite happy that they let go of Chilwell. But look, I'm not having a go at Chilwell. I hope he turns out to be a great player, and that's for another day. We can discuss about that. But just quickly as well, Monster, I don't know if you saw this particular quote before we start taking some of these questions quickly before we wrap things up. Kante, there was a quote from Cheesy Hours, Monster, not that long ago, where Kante was rumored to say that his best season was under Sarri because he likes to attack, he likes to bomb up. He goes that he's come to England and that's when they told him to tackle and told him to sit deep. He's mentioned it himself that I'm not someone who just sits deep and just defends. Like, that's not his game.
I'm not surprised that he said that though, because, you know, any player who plays football would say their best season is the one where they're free to practically do whatever the hell they want, and they're not having to be as disciplined defending and things like that. So I'm not necessarily surprised. I don't think his best season. I think his best season is probably the Leicester or Antonio Conte season, because they won. Because obviously we won the league and we saw how influential he was in those teams. But I don't blame him.
And counter-attacking teams as well.
Under Sarri, he had the freedom. Yeah, under Sarri, he had the freedom he wanted to do whatever the hell he wanted.
But apart from that, he also had, the thing is, like, under Conte and Leicester, he had freedom too. Do you know what I mean? He had a different kind of freedom. He didn't have that offensive freedom per se, but he had freedom. He wasn't lashed onto like a leash. The thing with Kante, when Kante played in that A again this season, I keep saying, and I can't remember what account I saw. It's an account that's not very, very brash with the way they speak, but I follow them because they speak fast. Kante is still living off those third man runs from Sarri. That's how he does when he goes forward. That's how he plays. That's what he still remembers, and that's how he's been operating. I don't want to get into the whole stereotyping of black individuals, because that's a whole topic for another entire episode. You understand? Because where some people just feel like, oh yeah, you see this guy and he can run around and he should just be a DM. I've never agreed with him till this day. Even when Chelsea won that 70-match unbeaten streak, I kept on saying consistently, Kante as a DM, you're asking what a DM sits. Do you understand? It's DM sits and screens. Kante doesn't sit and screen. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Do you know what I mean? Kante loves to run around, and that is what Kante does. People are asking him to convert into a DM. I'm like, what do you think this is? I know age is a thing. Age is a factor for sure. But at the end of the day, a man needs to... Do you know what I mean? We need to give him that license to do what he needs to do. And that's why that DM is so important.
Most of the credible journalists always have said Kante is a seek and destroy player. So he seeks, he looks around, he runs around, and he destroys.
That's what makes him world class. Do you know what I mean? That is what makes him world class. That's why he's very attribute. So
and that's why he's so good at interceptions. That's why he always racks up the numbers in interception, because he seeks and destroys. Boys, let's take some questions right at the end. Hopefully, everyone's enjoyed this. We've covered quite a few players. Yeah, go on, Dami.
I can see something from Konak. What are you saying, my guy? I haven't spoken to you in a bit of time. He says Kante is very good technically and can any position in midfield. So I'm not worried about him playing either DM or box to box. That's the thing. See, he's technically capable to play all these different positions. But at the end of the day, that's why it boils down to the tactics. Are we using them to the best of their abilities? Do you see what I mean? The best of their abilities. Werner can play on the wing because he's fast, but is that his best position? Havertz can play as an 8 sometimes. Is that his best position? Mason Mount going forward, having to do and deal in between the half spaces, is that his best way to be used? Kante playing where he is right now, is that the best use of Kante? Is that the best use of Pulisic? Is that the best use of Ziyech? No. Do you see what I mean? No, it's not the best use of any of these players. So as much as he can do it, I've never doubted him being able to just outright play there, because he can play there. Technically, he can play there, but that's not what he's best at. And the whole idea of having world-class players is to use their world-class attributes, and his world-class attribute is seek and destroy, which we are not using. So what's the point?
You know what? How this all crept in, Dami? It's the whole thing about versatility. Like, you know how we kept on saying, oh, he's versatile. I think now it's getting to a point where I don't want always versatile. I want someone who's actually good at one thing and just do it good.
And the thing is, with versatility, for me, I'm seeing versatility when you're trying to do some smart tactical shift or there's an injury. That's why I'm trying to use versatility, not game to game. Do you know what I mean? Not game to game. Look at Guardiola. He converted De Bruyne to a false nine against us and absolutely smashed us in. That is using De Bruyne's versatility. You understand? He's a versatile player, but we know his best position and we know his best attribute. Sometimes teams have to change. Look at Kane, for example. He's playing a bit deeper. He's not playing as a final.
That's versatile.
That's versatile. But these players are being used in such a way that it doesn't really affect the overall ability too much. But all the players we have, I mean, so people will say Mount has improved time, but everyone else, really? Have they improved? Has Kante improved this year? Ziyech, Werner, Havertz, I know they came from different leagues. I know Rona is the thing. Are they really doing that well? Come on. I mean, people will tell me that Werner has scored quite a few goals. You could have scored way more. Don't tell me that. Do you see what I'm saying? You could have scored way more. So what's the point? What is the point at the end of the day? Buy world-class players and do average stuff with them? No, that's not how it should be.
Absolutely true. Monster, let's start taking some questions to wrap things up. Here's a question from Red Pill. I'll let you answer this. Would you play Mount right CM and Havertz left CM?
what difference does it make if with what they're playing right now? Does it really make a difference? That's practically what do they play now? What do they play now?
I think that's practically what they do now.
Is Mount
Oh no, so it's actually Mount
Yeah,
actually plays LCM and Havertz plays RCM.
Yeah, I think that's just basically reversing their positions. But to me, it doesn't make much of a difference. It's the same thing. It's almost the same thing, just probably different positions on the pitch. But I don't think it makes the team any better. I don't think the reason why I say that is that I don't think Havertz is a central midfielder like that. He's a 10 or shadow striker. If you want to get the best out of him, you need to push him further forward. Him coming too deep. Him coming so deep doesn't benefit the team at all, because when sometimes you've seen him, he loses the ball in deep areas as well. You need him further forward and making it hard, kind of doing what De Bruyne did against us, where you can't, him being in that shadow striker stroke 10 role, it makes it hard for him to be tracked. That's what he needs to be.
Kind of what he did against Morecambe, I believe, because he moved into those. He moved into those sort of inside the box areas against Morecambe. Go on, Dami. Yeah.
And Callum allowed him to do that because once again, he's not occupying that space. Ziyech occupies the space that Havertz wants, and vice versa. Mason Mount also occupies that space. So for me, I think the thing is that's why a lot of people don't get with my drift. The only formation that could change, that would change things, that would forcefully change fundamentals a bit, it will force the change it will still be the same cross thing, but things will be ever so slightly different because you have two midfielders at the base. You understand how he would choose to do that is different. So that would allow that one person in the middle to actually fall to either side of the room. So fundamentally, things would have to slightly change. 4-3-4-3 would still be the same thing. 4-3-3 is still the same thing. 4-2-2, I think maybe not the same thing per se, but it depends on who he's lining up with. So for me, it's all fundamental. Mount RCM, Havertz RCM, it don't matter. As long as Lampard is telling one to occupy that space a bit, I want to play as a box to box, you're not going to get anything. You really can't. It's as simple as that.
I agree with that, man. Monster, next question. Thoughts on midfield reshuffle, especially moving Pulisic and Ziyech to midfield? That's outrageous, but yeah, I'll let you answer that.
But they're not really. Pulisic and Ziyech are not midfielders, man. Like that is. I don't want to say it's ridiculous because I don't want to shut down anyone's question or point. But I hear Ziyech. People saying Ziyech could possibly play the 10. That's a shout. But Pulisic in midfield, no. He's a winger. He's a winger. He's not a midfielder.
Pulisic as midfield would have to be. I mean, the amount of work that he'd have to do in midfield is insane, and that would burn him out. Boys, I think we'll wrap it up. There's some comments here that we can just quickly go through. There's one that really, really caught my eye. Actually, I want to bring that up. It was a red pill. Here we go. No, not this one. Just quickly.
I love red pill. Always on stream.
Yeah, red pill's got some really, really good comments. Here we go.
Red is a G.
Chilwell low-key being exposed as average. I hate to say it. I just thought that I needed to bring that up because I think there is. We just need to be focused on this player because I think Chilwell has gone off for us very, very well. But over the last few games, I think I sometimes wonder how much more is he actually adding as opposed to what Emerson used to do for us in the last few games. Do you know what I mean? I expect a lot more from Chilwell in terms of production up front, in terms of those crossing and really delivering those goal-scoring opportunities. I know he's crossed a couple of times for Giroud, but I want to see more of those. Since our game is all about crossing, having 34 crosses in yesterday's game, or 33 crosses, and not one of them going in is not a good shout at all. But guys, we'll wrap things up in this particular show. It's been good to talk about a whole heap of players that possibly shouldn't get an opportunity to start. They should be replaced by up front, Tammy Abraham or Giroud or Kalamantan-Odoi, definitely Havertz. Billy Gilmore, you guys really put up a really good point that perhaps he's not ready yet to marshal the game as yet. And hopefully Kante, once he's back from suspension for next game, we should hopefully start to look a little bit better. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining. Massive, massive thank you for Monster and Dami once again. Before we go, Dami, some final words, mate.
I mean, once again, Miz, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. Always a good chat with you. Monster, my G, always a good chat with you, my boss. You know, man, we know, always speaking facts and knowledge for the people. These man think we're mess about individuals. But once again, always a pleasure to come on, man. We'll have to do more stuff in the future, definitely.
No, absolutely. And all of Dami's social media stuff is in the description. Guys, please subscribe to his channel. He's just started off his YouTube channel, which is absolutely taken off. So keep subscribing. He does a lot of streams as well. And similarly with Monster as well, all of his information's in the description. He's an absolute OG when it comes to streams. I've seen there's a hell of a lot of streams, so do follow him. But Monster, man, some final words.
Yeah, I just hopefully, I just want Chelsea to win against Leicester, man. Right now, I'm just predicated on let's just finish this season, let's just get top 4. Right, like that's why I don't really argue with people about this and that. I just want Chelsea to just succeed and do well in it. And thank you for having me on as well. Big ups to Dami and everyone in the chat. Really appreciate it, man.
Brilliant, brilliant. And yeah, to everyone that's tuned in, tuned out throughout the stream, thank you so much for everyone that's commented as well on a regular basis. Honestly, we appreciate it. I see all you guys in all of you, other streamers also. Your work rate, we talk about our work rate, your work rate is much appreciated as well at the same time. Before I go, guys, please smash that like button. Hit the bell notification to stay in touch with all my content. And if you're here for the first time, subscribe. And do look out for the Leicester City preview, which will be tomorrow, this time with Leicester Fan TV, which is going to be quite exciting. They're actually upbeat on this particular match. So, yeah, until next time, guys, see ya.